Going on? It's your boy Nikki G back here, and in today's video, I am going to go through and show you guys how to upload your music to Distrokid. This might seem pretty simple for some people, but I know I struggled with this when I started off as a musician, so I wanted to kind of go back and go through some of the tools and techniques that I used to start off my music career. So in today's video, I just wanted to go through Distrokid. I'm thinking within the next week or two, I'm going to do a comparison between all of the distributors. I think Distrokid was the first one I used. I actually have my music up through 4 right now. But they're all, they all do the same thing. It's just different how they go about actually getting your music up and stuff. So I'm gonna get right into it. So I have my Distrokid pulled up here. I'll show you. This is all my releases here. So I have my album and I have 2 singles up here right now. So if you go ahead and go up to the upload at the top, the first thing it's gonna ask you for is what services and what platforms you want to put your music out on. Chances are you want it on everything just because it gives yourself less chance to be noticed and make some money from all of your streams. But if for some reason you only wanted Spotify or Apple Music and iTunes and you don't want to focus on these other smaller ones, you don't have to worry about that. You can just uncheck those. The next thing it's going to ask for is how many songs you're uploading. So if it's a single, it's just going to be 1, and then you can upload up to 35. But if an album is technically considered 8, I don't know what Spotify's terms are in terms of that. Next thing it's going to ask was the song previously released. This is really just going to go for if you like put the song out and then deleted it and remastered it and needed to switch something up. So you can probably go ahead and do no for the most part. The artist band name, this is going to be kind of important. Obviously you want to make sure that it's under the same artist or name that you're releasing as. And then for the next one, it's going to show you these 2 to make sure that it's under other releases. Some people have the same names, so it can be, sometimes you might have to check with them to make sure that it's going to show up under that release, because if your music gets put under the wrong release, it's going to be pretty challenging for you to get it switched over. Next up is going to be the release date. I'm going to do a whole video on mapping out your releases and how far in advance you should upload it to your distributor before you put it out. Spotify requires, I believe, 1 week in advance for them to consider it for playlist consideration. However, I recommend 1 month at least, but I'm going to get into that in another video in more detail. Pre-order, this is going to be if you have a super big fan base and you want to sell your music and actually have people purchase it ahead of time, you can choose that as an option as well. Record label, this is if you're not, or if you're independent, you can really just put whatever you want there. So in my case, I just have it as Nick Galecki Music. You can do, literally, you can name it whatever you want. And if you leave it blank, it's just going to put an automated one there for you. Album cover, I always run into problems with my album cover just because like it'll say it's blurry or that it won't work. So make sure you have a couple versions of your album cover ready, between a JPEG, PNG. And obviously the bigger you can get it, the better and the more clear it's going to be. Next up, it's going to be a language. I would assume most of you are going to upload in English. The genres are going to be super important because this is going to be how Spotify and iTunes and all of those distributors think about putting you on playlists and how other people are going to find you. So make sure you do not just skip this part. And I highly recommend a second genre as well. Next up, we're going to have the song title here. This is super important too because you don't want to make any mistakes in uploading because you want your song to be perfect when it's out and ready to go. Distrokid's really good because it gives you all of these little tips and tricks. If you're supposed to have a feature, part 2, instrumental. I always follow these and I've never had a problem getting a song up in terms of the structure. Audio file, make sure you have everything ready to go. You can just easily upload it from your desktop. So in my case, I just put that on the desktop just as an example. But I think you should be able to upload it as any format that you would like. Songwriter and songwriter names. If you wrote the song, you can just put your name there. You can actually add a whole bunch of other stuff. You can add music, you can add lyrics. Explicit, this would just be a lot of like hip hop and more urban style is going to have explicit. So if you wanted to put that, it will also pop up as the E on Spotify so that your listeners know that it's explicit. Radio edit, that would just be if you had a separate version of the song and wanted to upload it as a separate radio version, possibly as a clean version. Instrumental is pretty straightforward. Most, EDM and I know some classical artists just upload instrumental. The preview clip start time is pretty important if you're going to be diving into like TikTok. TikTok has been a huge game changer for me as a musician, and I'm going to do a whole bunch of videos on TikTok promotion as an artist, but I would definitely make sure that you pick a part of the song. I would say your 15 best seconds of the catchiest, best part of your song to pick for streaming sites to determine. Track price is going to be how much you want to list your track for. A lot of people just care more about their streams than if people buy. Since we're in the 21st century, a lot of that doesn't really matter. Extras, these are definitely optional. So this would be YouTube money. And then if your music's ever used in a YouTube video, you can add this, and then you'll get money from that. I normally, the only one I actually ever use out of these would be the Shazam one, just because it's an extra 99 cents a year. And Shazam's actually starting to make a pretty decent push as a way to get discovered. I'll also make a video as that. And then all you have to do is go through and select all of these, and you are ready to go. So I hope this video was beneficial for some people that might not know how to get their music onto Spotify and iTunes. I know a lot of people are just SoundCloud and YouTube. So I wanted to make like a simple video for Distrokid, which is like the biggest, most commonly used distributor. But this week I will make sure to make a video on the differences between Distrokid, CD Baby, TuneCore, and a whole lot more. So be on the lookout for that. And until then, see you guys later.